Alright, hello everyone, and welcome to the second out of three scuffed setups, this time featuring game audio that doesn't sound, differently pitched for some reason. Today, we got the other weapon I play, the Splatoon Stamper Nouveau, and we also got something we've been waiting for a very long time. After a year and 3 months, we have another crab weapon in the game. And I think that's really important because currently the crab weapons we have are all shooters, and a dually. So there's not really a whole lot of variety here. On top of that, while V-Pro is like a bit okay recently, we don't really see either of these two at all. We pretty much only see Splash and Dually, and only have seen those weapons since the start of the game. So, is the next crab weapon going to be relevant? Yeah, it's Stamper. Stamper will be a relevant crab weapon. Stamper is a very, very strong main weapon. In fact, I can already say right off the bat that I think this kit will be 210p. There's a chance it's 200. I cannot see it any lower. I don't think it's going to be 220. Some people are panicking about that. I don't really believe it. So, one thing I want to get off the bat, like, pretty much immediately is how good I think this thing is going to be at getting crab, and then talking about its playstyle from there, because the original Splatana Stamper is really good at getting crab tank, but I don't think, or not getting crab tank, at getting special, but I don't think people really talk about it because it's Zipcaster, and that's not really a whole big part of your game plan. But the paint on this thing is pretty ridiculous, and that's just Charge Slash, and horizontal is like a little bit less good paint, but it's better ink efficiency, and I already have 210p special, just like that. Now, obviously, this is painting in the training room, which is not how painting in the actual game works, otherwise Edit would be the best weapon in the game. However, the notable part of this is that Stamper can paint fairly far away. Stamper isn't a great weapon to be stuck painting to get control of the entire map because it doesn't paint as efficiently as a shooter, but it is really good at painting far away from itself and getting specials with this paint, and that is exactly what this kit will want to do more of. So first let's talk about the sub before we get into the special anymore though, because the main thing is, yes, the gap between Burst Bomb and the sub it's getting, Toxic Mist, is a giant gap. And yes, this is the first Toxic Mist weapon we've gotten in a while as well, actually. We only have 5 Toxic Mist weapons in the game right now, and this will be the 6th one. It is the lowest amount of subs, and both it and Burst Bomb are finally going to be on 6 weapons. But Burst Bomb does something that this weapon really needs help with. It allows you to hit opponents outside of line of sight, because Stamper has to be able to see anything to hit anything. And so if you hit an opponent and then go behind a wall, or they go behind a wall, the Burst Bomb gives you follow-up, or if it's on an awkward ledge, or whatever. And obviously, even in non-LOS, even in line-of-sight situations, it's still very helpful. But that's the main utility of Burst Bomb. That's the main part where you actually really need the sub, is when you have opponents not in line of sight. Now, Toxic Mist, the good news, does allow you to deal with opponents who are not in line of sight. That is not a problem. It does hit people who are behind stuff like walls, like you can throw a mist here. The problem is that it does not paint at all. So if you are working towards getting a crab tank, mist is not going to do a lot to help you with that. And so it's going to be a large part of your ink tank on a very ink-hungry weapon. This is 15% more expensive than Burst Bomb, so that's worth noting. However, of course, it's still not the worst thing for Stamper. Slowing opponents down when you have a Charge Slash is very noteworthy, so, I mean, there is obviously some synergy there, and I think that will still have its own use cases. Particularly, I think the sub is actually pretty solid in Rainmaker when you can slow down the objective. And I do see the synergy with a slow traveling Charge Slash and the ability to stop your opponent from moving away from it. So it's not lost on me. However, obviously, in terms of balance, the difference between a Toxic Mist and a Burst Bomb is pretty high. So even if it works okay for this weapon, this is straight up a downgrade. The special has to be a reason to use the kit over it, and this is where I think Crab Tank earns some merit. Now, Zipcaster is a really, really good special right now. It's honestly one of the better ones in the game, and it does work very well with Stamper. It's great continuation. So you're going in, you get a pick, you pop caster, you're chasing someone down. If you weaken them, you can combo off it. You're going to go do your sword thing, go fight a crab or whatever, recall, and then you got your charge slash. Like, this has been Stamper's thing. And I think in terms of playing to the aggressive pace the vanilla Stamper does, I do not think Crab is going to do better for it. Aggro Crab in the right situations can absolutely be better than Zipcaster, but I don't think that the majority of the time it's going to be better than what Caster is, giving you the ability to get out of the way in time. And I think Caster just keeps the weapon moving a little bit faster. I think Crab Tank is going to slow the weapon down in terms of its pacing. It's going to keep it a little bit more predictable. It's going to mean that it's staying with its team a little bit more. And that's okay. I think that the main thing I would cover is I don't think these kits really compete with each other. In fact, I think you can very easily run both Stampers in a comp, preferably a backless one, and be fine. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw double Stamper on some maps. Like, realistically, it's two strong kits with a ridiculously good main weapon. I could totally see them doing it, and I think it would work out totally fine. A lot of people underrate just how good Stamper is right now in the first place. Regardless, though, I think Crab Tank is better as a team entry option. The big issue Zipcaster has is it's kind of a trade-off. If you are zipping around and pulling people behind you, you're not pushing in front with your team, you're not helping them as much, you're going for the backline, and then eventually you're going to recall back and you have to walk in anyway. Or you could walk in and not use Zipcaster at all and go and try and fight things. Crab Tank gets rid of that dilemma because if you want to get in, you pop a crab. You can hit any relevant anchor position anyway because you are a crab. You are painting for your team. You are not going to recall. You're still going to be moving slower, but like if I crab and my team walks in and we get some space, like I will just be walking diagonally forward as we're pushing in. And then I will like be kind of the way there and moving in faster. It's an easier special at actually getting its team in, a much more effective one, and balance-wise, a stronger one. Is the gap between Crab and Zip as big as Burst Bomb and Mist? Not at all. Zip is like a tier or two down at absolute worst. It's not going to be that big a difference. I think that Nuvo Stamper is going to work better in different comps than this Stamper does. I think if you need a bit more paint, mainly, on your team, maybe you're running like a 96 gal or a slosher or something, and you have another weapon with like mediocre paint, you would want Nuvo Stamper because the crab helps a lot with its paint output as well as just a naturally different playstyle. And I think if you need more entry tools, like if you maybe you only have Jetpack as your main entry and your other specials are like I don't know, Ultra Stamp, Tacticooler, or something, then yeah, this would probably be a lot better to run so you have a Crab to also get you in, and I think that's valuable. Especially Crab and Booyah, in my eyes, are specials that not only get your team in, but they're very reliable at what they do, they're very good at keeping you alive, so it adds a lot of resource tankiness, and they just paint the floor a lot as your team walks in, and I think that's going to become more and more valuable as time goes on. It's like the one claim to fame Tri-Strike has, except it's not as good because you're not walking in with it, whereas with Booyah you actually are. So, yeah, I like Stamper Nuvo's kit. I think the vanilla Stamper is probably a little bit better, but there'll be definitely plenty of comps you want to use it in. I think this especially applies for my team. Right now, I've been mostly playing Rapid Deco as the longest range weapon in the team outside of the maps we do Pencil on. And there are some times where I wish I could just have a bit better special output because Curse of 210p, or maybe it's not as strong as Rapid map, or maybe I'm fighting Squeezer Pencil and don't really want to play Rapid into it as much for like how my team plays. Now I can switch to something that has a bit better distance object damage, has a bit better paint on the floor, has a bit more flexibility in, like, switching to a complete front line, because it can still go in when it has cooler. It's still a sword, even if it doesn't have a burst bomb. And at the same time, play for an entry tool. So, I think it does its job of adding some alternate playstyle adjustments that allow you to play the main weapon more. I think it will help for consistency for Stamper players. Maybe you're fighting a team that's really good at dealing with caster with the weapons are on or whatever. And that's really what I want from an alternate kit. And in terms of Toxic Mist, I think this will be a weapon to get Mist a bit of usage. I still hope it's buffed a little bit, but I think Mist right now will be enough for this weapon to thrive. Hopefully it gets buffed a bit so it's a bit less of a liability, but at least it still does the AoE thing, hitting behind corners, so that's valuable. Or not AoE, line of sight. Anyway, sorry for the scuffed quality. It will only happen one more time tomorrow morning before I am back home. Just took a little bit of a vacation to Nogami's office real quick. Has nothing to do with the current S Plus and Stamper Kits release. Thanks for watching!